Welcome back to Your Art is a Spell. My name is Edgar Fabian Frias, and I am so excited to talk with you today about something that is so important that people are afraid of it. People are fighting to keep it quiet. First, I want to start off by saying that there's been so much that has tried to get in the way of me making this video. I injured my back a couple of days ago. I'm still recovering, but I feel good enough today to create this episode. And on the day that I'm creating this episode, the National Guard has been called into Los Angeles to attack this city, essentially, from people who are rightfully protesting against the horrific kidnappings of people here in Los Angeles by ICE. We are leaving the materialist paradigm behind, this paradigm that has told us that the only things that are real have to be material or seen. We are leaving that world and we are emerging into what many of our ancestors have known, which is we are all deeply connected to one another beyond time and space. Today, I want to talk with you about the importance of belief and how it has shown up in my life around psychic skills, psychic connections, telepathy, interspecies communication, time travel. I have been led down a path that I'm so excited to share with you all about today because it is so profoundly important for the next few years as we as humans collectively evolve into being able to connect telepathically with one another again. And as I'm saying this, I want you to notice if there are parts of you that feel triggered, that feel uncomfortable, that are asking yourself, what is Edgar talking about? We have all been indoctrinated by this system to minimize our psychic capacities, to minimize our imagination, and our abilities to impact the world with our intentions, with our minds, with our consciousness. And there has been so much research that is emerging, that we are witnessing, that is letting us know that we emerge from consciousness. Consciousness permeates everything. And because of that, we can tune into consciousness. And all life forms on Earth are conscious. They are alive, they feel, they connect, they communicate. And this goes up against the paradigm that has told us for such a long time that animals and plants don't feel anything, that we can corral them into these horrific animal agricultural systems where they are dehumanized, they are unalived by the billions. And you can only do that when you disconnect the consciousness from a being, when a being becomes an object. This is something that has happened, that continues to happen. Even in this moment in Los Angeles with the National Guard, Black and brown people who are immigrants are being treated as objects that are only useful to the white, delusional, patriarchal system as political pawns. These human beings are having their lives completely shattered so that these politicians can just create a little spectacle. We are more than objects. We are more than spectacles. And this is what's at play here. We have been taught, we have been indoctrinated to believe that certain beings are not as valuable as others, or that we cannot connect. And that is so far from the truth that many people are now starting to see that we actually are so much more connected than we've ever imagined, and that we also have the capacity, the gift, the ability to transcend the boundaries of physical nature and again communicate psychically, telepathically, energetically with one another. And I just want to let you know how I started to go down this path. Belief is the number one thing that I want to talk about in this episode, because if you are someone who's interested in creating art spells, in using psychic or magical practices to transform your life, step number one is to really work on your belief systems, on what you feel is real and possible, and to start to expand that, to imagine more being possible, and to really let yourself live in a world where your power, your magic could literally transform all of reality. Now, I have been led down a path where I have really been shown by the divine universe how this is more real than I could have ever imagined. I have had many moments in my life where plants, animals, crystals, humans have shared messages with me. This has been spontaneous. It has not been invoked by me. And so these beings have really work to send out messages. This is something that's constantly happening. We really just need to be in a place where we're open, where we're tuned in, where we feel love, and we're able to really connect, to really experience it. And more recently, I have been led down a path of exploring remote viewing, consciousness, psychic phenomenon, and it all started on a day where I was invited to be on a panel at an institution here in Los Angeles. I took an Uber on my way there to this event, and as I was heading there, the person who was driving in the Uber just looked at me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about looking into remote viewing? I'm getting the message that you should." And by this point in my life, I have already had a couple of really intense and, to be honest, scary experiences with remote viewing, where I really realized that I had tapped into something so real that it scared me, and it made me want to really understand what I was doing before I actually tried it again. And so to get this person's push and their own psychic message to me really pushed me down a road where I started to investigate this. And a few weeks ago, through this journey that I've been on, I discovered that I was one of the few people that was selected to be a part of a program called G.A.T.E, G-A-T-E. This program was at my elementary and middle school. And when I was in this program, I was, from what I remember, the only one in my classroom and one of only two people from my entire school that were selected for this program. There are tons of podcasts out there and videos where people are talking about how G.A.T.E was a project to look for psychic children, to train us, to try to figure out our abilities. And again, I did not know this until just a few weeks ago because of looking into remote viewing, into the CIA, into consciousness studies. And so this has been really profound to know that this is something that has really been a part of my life since I was a young person. Now, I've also mentioned, I think several times here in this season, the podcasts, the Telepathy Tapes. They also talk about consciousness and telepathy and psychic abilities. They have also really been helping me come to a place where I can openly share that I have seen and experienced things that would really prove that there is something happening here. For example, I want to share a little anecdote here about some of the things that I've experienced since I've started to research and look into consciousness studies. I have had moments where I've been able to connect directly with animals. I've had them come up to me, say hello. I've had them share messages with me. I've been able to connect with animals at a long distance. I have constantly had people tell me that I show up in their dreams, and that has only increased ever since I've started to be more intentional about the time I spend in a meditative space. And not only that, but I had a really profound experience last weekend. I was meant to be a part of an event that was around UFOs, consciousness studies in the desert, and this event fell through, and it was actually being organized by an A-list celebrity. I'm not going to mention their names, but there's someone that you would definitely know. They were organizing this event, And for whatever reason, the event fell through. It did not happen. And I had already taken the time off, as well as my partner, because he was going to come with me. And we decided to turn this into like a little mini vacation. We went and did a bunch of really fun stuff. And on one of the days, I was being really leisurely. We went and we saw my parents. And we decided just on a whim on the way home to stop by a museum in Los Angeles to see an exhibition that we'd been meaning to see for a while. Now, while at this museum, I ran into a teacher from my undergrad, and this was really lovely. We connected for a moment and then moved on to one of the small installations in this museum. Now, while we were there in this installation, another person joined us in this space. Mind you, it was a really small space. Only about 3 people really fit in this space. And so it was my partner and myself and this third person who joined us. Well, when I took a moment to look at this third person, I realized that it was this A-list celebrity that I was meant to connect with that weekend. And even though the plans had fallen through, they were somehow standing right in front of me. And so I decided to introduce myself, to say hello, and to let them know that we were meant to connect, but that it had fallen through. But somehow the universe had made it happen for us to be right in the same moment at the same time. This for me was such a profound confirmation that when the universe wants something to happen, the entanglement that we are all a part of will make it happen. There is no need to plan. There is no need to stress. Really, honestly, the less you stress, the more open you are, the more in a loving, kind space you are, the more that this will actually happen. Now, this sounds really counterintuitive to what a lot of people feel they have to do in their lives, where we are told by capitalism that we need to work hard, we have to strive really hard, we have to make things happen. Well, in actuality, the universe is constantly listening to us. It is also constantly offering us validation and care and nourishment. And so I feel like these are things that are in deep, deep disconnect from the way that our world is working now. We actually live on a planet of profound abundance. When a tree gives its fruit, it gives so much food that you actually have to can it, preserve it, make it into candy, or do whatever you can to really work with the amount of food that nature gives us. Nature gives in excess because things are abundant. So many animals in the wild, yes, they have to walk for long distances or sometimes exert a lot of energy, but for most of the time, they're just chilling. They're just hanging out, resting. And that's really what we're meant to do as beings on this planet. And so there is something about us returning to a way of knowing where we understand our interconnectedness. We understand the profound power we have with our imaginations, with our consciousness, with our intentions and our prayers. This is going to change reality itself, and it is changing reality. Now, there are many people, including those that are sending the National Guard into Los Angeles, that are scared of this changing future. And for that, I want to say, fear only keeps you in a low vibrational state. It is truly love and connection that move us into this state of surrender and abundance and magic that I'm talking about. I want to give you all a little tip on how to start having psychic conversations with others so that you can try this out yourself and let me know how it goes when you do it. So I want you to pick a being, whether that's a human, an animal, or even something beyond time and space. So even yourself in the past or a future version of yourself. And I want you to take a moment, just think about them, connect with them, feel them in your heart. Now imagine yourself sending a message to them. You can imagine this message coming from you in a little bubble of energy. This message could be words, colors, an image, a movie, anything that makes sense for you to communicate your message. Now, I want you to imagine this bubble floating away from you and gently landing into the space of this other being. You can imagine this bubble entering their orbit, entering their field, And you can also imagine this being receiving your message and understanding it as well. This is where I invite you to take a deep breath, stay open, stay present, stay connected. Just notice if you receive a response, and if so, what kind of response you receive. Of course, you could respond back. You could take time to connect with another being. This is just the beginning of you starting to open up to the consciousness that surrounds you. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you had this kind of experience before? Are you excited by the idea of psychic communication, of telepathy, of existing beyond time and space? Let me know. I would love to hear from you. This to me is one of the first big steps we can take in really embodying our power and our magic, is fully believing with all our heart that our magic is real and that exist beyond what is real because they create what is real. Now, if you've received anything from this episode, I would love to invite you to share it with another witchy friend of yours. I would love for you to also leave me a comment, let me know you're listening. I've really loved hearing from all of you so much, and I'm really excited to say that as we're nearing the end of season 1, I have something really big planned for season 2 that's going to play with our psychic gifts and help us all collectively work with our magic together. I will be saying more of that starting in season 2, but I wanted to drop a little seedling here to know that it's coming. And if you are watching this on YouTube, I want to invite you to subscribe, to leave a like and a comment. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, please leave me a review. It lets me know that you're listening, and it also helps to tickle the algorithmic structures that bring us all together within these digital systems that we're tuning into. And it also helps you be a part of a web of energy. Now, don't forget that your art is a spell, and it will change your life and the world around us. See you soon. Bye.